What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Resident Evil, because we're now just a couple months away from the launch of Resident Evil Village, and understandably, people are just incredibly hyped for it. But what it seems like a lot of fans don't understand is that when you buy Village, this is of course going to be a single-player experience. We're going to get a chance to go through spooky castles and fight some really cool vampires and stuff, but coming with it, when you buy Village, there's going to be a totally separate game packaged inside it, which is called Reverse. Now, Reverse itself is surprisingly going to be a multiplayer shooter. It allows you to pick one of the heroes of the Resident Evil universe and hunt down other players to try and get high scores. Now, this idea itself is incredibly weird, and I say this because now I've had a chance to play it. Last night, Capcom sent me a code and allowed me to do a couple hours running around in this, getting some headshots and using all the special abilities. And I want to try and break this down piece by piece and explain why I think that this is a bad idea, even if on paper it seems like kind of a novelty at least. So the way this works is, before you begin the game, you choose one of the heroes of the Resident Evil universe. Somebody like Claire Redfield, or Leon Kennedy, or, the people that we already know, especially if they are from the recent remakes. Now, each of these people is very, very different because they have different weapons, different special abilities, and different tactical advantages. Like, let me show you a specific example of the person I'm best with, which is Jill Valentine. So, Jill comes packed with two guns. Everybody has two guns at the start. Hers is a rifle and a decent handgun. Now, when she's actually just fighting itself, your handgun has infinite ammunition. You can just fire and fire and fire. You'll never run out of shots. But if you run around the level, you can find these ammunition boxes that make your secondary weapon have a bunch more bullets for it. And your secondary weapon is way the heck stronger. Like, each person has something that's going to be extremely beefy, but everybody needs to play smart and use their abilities. So every character has different abilities. Hers is a landmine that allows her to basically place a trap. And as you could see, I kept drawing people into it. I had some incredibly long kill streaks because over and over again, people would walk into my traps. I'd machine gun them, I'd get some headshots. Now, every single headshot does 10 times damage, so if you land even one or two headshots, you can put a player down very, very quick. So if you're good at aiming, if you're good at trying to tactically run around the level and grabbing more and more of these ammunition boxes, you can mow people down. But everybody fights extremely different. This is actually what I think is the most interesting aspect of this very flawed multiplayer, is that it was fun to play as Leon and have my handgun and a shotgun, and then as I'm running around, try and use his kicks, try and use his special abilities, try and make sure that I'm actually playing to the best of my talents. But when you do eventually die, that is not the end. This is the weirdest part about it. So in this, I'm sure you've noticed that I'm kind of just shooting everybody. I'm not trying to aim for my friends or anything like that. There is no teams, at least not in this beta version of it. It is always a free-for-all. So in this, when you die, instead of just getting a game over or respawning, you become a monster. The bioweapon you turn into is completely random upon death. I mean, you don't really get a chance to select it. It's just kind of thrown upon you. And some of them are definitely better than others. Like, if you get the mold monster from Resident Evil 7, he's not particularly good. He does have an enrage mode that makes it where you could do, like, faster attacks for a short time, but you obviously want to try and get the bigger and better people, like a Hunter Gamma, who can eat players and spit acid. Now, you can actually influence it so you make sure you get a tyrant instead of a normal monster. So while you're alive, of course, you're going to be running around the map trying to shoot players, get some high scores, and stack yourself up with some special weapons, but additionally, you can see these canisters that have this purple goo inside it. If you manage to grab two of these before you die, then instead of becoming one of the random minions of the Resident Evil universe, you become a boss. Specifically in this beta, we had the Nemesis, who's able to shoot freaking rockets and do some instant kills where he does a slam with his tentacle, or you could become Mr. X without his jacket when he becomes this tyrant form with his big ol' flaming fist, and that can do the instant kill where you just completely impale somebody. These are way stronger, and so there is a big circular tactic to every round. You're going to be trying to run around and grab ammunition for your special gun, health herbs to keep yourself alive, using your own abilities, and making it so you have enough biohazard canisters that when you do eventually die, you can come back and and be a super strong tyrant and still get additional kills. Now the final part of this is the super weapons. So occasionally on the map, they will spawn weapons that anybody can grab. Up until now, I've told you that everybody has specific weapons, like if you're playing as Hunk is able to use a knife to stab people, he can become invisible for a short time, and his weapons that he comes packed with, though, are relatively weak. So all the smart players are going to be additionally competing for these special weapons like rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and laser cannons that are going to be appearing on the map, because anybody can grab these and they're pretty much one-shot kill. Now let me just be frank, I am very, very good at reverse. I have managed to steamroll players, I've gotten 10 kill multi-kills, I've just completely decimated pretty much every single round I've ever been in. I'm fast, I'm effective, I understand what it takes to get a platinum trophy in Resident Evil, and I can take these skills to just wreck anybody online. But it's still bad. Even after having played a couple hours of this, I think I can objectively say that it's not that this is just poorly designed, it just doesn't make sense. There isn't really a part of this that's really kind of fun and exciting. There's not that gripping tension of classic Resident Evil. This doesn't have that save one bullet tension. It doesn't really have any of the things that feel like Resident Evil. This is just a random, crappy, mid-tier Resident Evil shooter. Like, it just feels like a multiplayer thing that they throw in here purely for absolutely no reason. Like, I'll be perfectly honest here, I can't imagine that anybody is going to play this after the first weekend of Resident Evil Village being out, because there just doesn't seem to be a long-term appeal to this. Some people have already been asking me, because I have been tweeting about this some, people have been asking, DreamcastGuy, why do you think they even made Reverse? Well, to be perfectly frank, I think that these kind of experiments, sometimes they pay off. Capcom has made a lot of different games with a lot of different online modes. Everybody wants to have their own Fortnite. Everybody wants to have their own money printing machine. And if this did manage to be good, they were probably planning on selling you skins and costumes and more DLC characters down the line. But as it stands, this has been a pretty bad beta. I can definitely see why they've packaged this together inside of Resident Evil Village instead of trying to make it a standalone experience, because on its own, nobody would buy this. But that's just been my thoughts. What do you think about this? Are you excited for Resident Evil Village? Are you going to try Reverse whenever you can? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. I do feel it's important to end this video on a bit of a somber note, which is that the person who's doing a bunch of the voices for the vampires and witches and stuff in Resident Evil Village, she has unfortunately passed away. So I want to dedicate this video to her, and additionally, in the comments down below, or in the description box, I'm going to make the thing, it's going to be a link to a GoFundMe. Her parents are trying to raise money for her burials. If you would please donate to her GoFundMe to help her family make it through this bad time. She was clearly a great actress. She's clearly going to do an amazing job in Resident Evil Village, and sadly, she's not going to be here to see it. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.